Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much for taking some time to meet today for our Track Pulse webinar. Today we are going to be taking a look at auditing calls and scoring calls. Now we're going to take a pretty surface level look at this stuff today. And I do want to thank those who have been reaching out with suggested topics for webinars. We really do appreciate that you have been reaching out to us, making suggestions. This course today, this webinar topic was initially set up because it was requested. So if you follow these webinars every other week and you've tuned in, please don't hesitate to let us know if there is a specific topic that you would like to have discussed in this webinar. So again, we really appreciate all of the people that have been turning out for these webinars. It's been very exciting for us. But we're making these webinars for you. So if there's something you want us to cover, just let us know. We're going to make sure we take care of that for you right away. So let's get into it. Auditing calls is for agent training and to ensure that calls are being marked correctly. Calls being marked incorrectly will negatively impact the res lead rate and conversion rate, which are two really important metrics. This in turn impacts your booked revenue because if leads are not being gathered, well, then you can't follow up on potential bookings. 5% or a minimum of 100 calls should be audited every single month. That is our recommendation to you. All calls should be audited prior to the last day of the month. Now, once you're logged into Track, you will select the button on the left-hand side that is a phone icon. Select Audit Calls from that list. Once inside, you can filter dates and then by agent. You're going to want to audit calls that are non-leads typically, all right? Sometimes you can do leads and lost reservations as well, and if this is determined that this is a breakdown, well, it should be then break it down like this, okay? 25% leads possible booking, 25% lost, and then 50% non-lead calls. Now, don't audit booked reservation calls unless you need to listen to someone specifically for coaching reasons. Leave the queues blank unless it's relevant to filter for a property by queue. And always, only search for calls that are more than 3 minutes long. Now, when the call pulls up, you can click the play button in the playback area. Now, you will always want to speed up the calls to maybe 1.25 or 1.5 times speed. So you don't necessarily need to listen to the entire call. Once the call is playing, you can typically tell as much information in the first 30 seconds of the phone call as needed. Now, you can move through the call as needed until you get the information that you desire to determine if the call was or the call result was compliant. If the call result is correct, then just press Audit Call. If it's not, change from the drop-down what the result should have been. If it changes to a lost call, it'll make you place a reason to ensure that you have a lost reason. Now, if the only thing wrong on the lost call is the reason, well, make sure you are still changing that. It'll start to affect the final audit results. All audited calls are saved in the coaching area for Track for future references when getting the agents on coaching. Now, a rule of thumb, if dates, rates, availability, or unit information is discussed, then it should always be a lead or a booked call. It should never, ever be a non-lead. If the caller calls in asking general property questions, the call should always be qualified if the guest has a reservation or is looking to make a reservation. Now, scoring calls is for agent training and making sure that they are handling all of their calls correctly, covering all the criteria that we have put in place. Now, the criteria is not put in place to make agents sound robotic, but to help create a consistent selling technique, okay? You want your agents to be able to sell your company or sell your properties. Now, you're going to want to score for non-booked calls per agent per month at the minimum. So what are you going to do? You're going to filter by the date range that you want to cover, the call result, the agent, and then choose the template. Now, if you don't already have a template set up in your track system, let your customer success manager know. We will make it a point to upload the template from Doug Kennedy of the Kennedy Training Network. Okay? So try and find a call that is at least 5 minutes long. I wouldn't go longer than 10 minutes if you can help it, okay? Just try and find a substantial call. So between 5 and 10 minutes. Now, you can speed this up a little bit if you make the call go a little faster. So maybe 1.25 or 1.5 times speed. And listen to most of the call. So if something is stated by the guest before the agent can ask if they would like to, if they ask a question, you're going to want to select NA. So an example would be if a guest says why they're coming before they can be asked. Well, then you can't really put that against the agent for not asking it if the guest mentions it first. Ensure that you make notes on the calls that you listen to, detailing successes and challenges with the call for the agent. Most clients use just a yes or no answer, but you can weight things within the call score template. Weighted is going to mean it's rated on a scale, so 1 to 10, 1 to 5, and so on. So that just about covers everything we wanted to talk about today. Again, just an introduction to auditing phone calls and scoring phone calls. If you have other questions and you want to get into a little bit more of a deep dive into this topic, definitely ask your customer success manager. If your customer success manager is Ryan, if your customer success manager is Tina, definitely reach out to them. And if you want to get a little bit deeper with call scoring and doing some call auditing. So we'll be back again with another webinar here in 2 weeks. So again, if there's a topic you want to talk about, don't hesitate. Let us know. We're making these webinars for you, and we want to make sure that you are happy with the content that has been presented to you. So if you have a suggested topic, feel free to reach out to me, or you can reach out to your customer success manager, and we will get that scheduled for you. Once again, my name is Mike Ricci. I am a training specialist and implementation specialist with Track. So I really, really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, and I hope the rest of your Tuesday is just wonderful. Thanks again, and have a great day.